Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Friday, day after Thanksgiving. I hope you had a good holiday, and I hope you had a day of recovery today and didn't have to work, which would be a really nice thing to have a 4-day weekend. You know, that's always welcome. We have a bit of a mosh today to get to. We got a bunch of subjects, some things on the phone I wanted to get off, and a few things to talk about. First thing I want to talk about was some of the comments from last video. I had a long-time subscriber, good friend of the show by the name of D. White, had said he wanted to know. He says, you know, do I have a sharps container, or how do I dispose of single-edge razor blades, things like that? Which is a great question. I'll tell you, I was taught this from my grandfather years ago, and all my scouts I taught this to, and it's an important subject. I thought we'd cover it real quick.
Now, ever since I was young, and maybe it's because we go back to a long line of garbage pickers, anytime we had something that was sharp that was going into the garbage, we always protected it. Not just from breaking through the garbage bag, but also, like, for example, if you drop a jar or a coffee cup or something, it's broken glass. We always had one of these, a container like this, or some kind of container where you would put the glass in here and throw it into the recycle. And I still practice that today, you know, just because, again, it won't break through the bag, and also you protect anybody that might handle the garbage down the line. Same thing happens with if you should have any kind of razor blades or things like that you use and you have to get rid of them. What they usually have in businesses that deal with this is they have what's called a sharps container. You might see them when you go to the to get a checkup or something. You'll see one hanging on the wall in the doctor's office, and that's where anything that is sharp, like pins or needles or razor blades, is supposed to go in there, and it's handled a specific way. But if you're throwing this in the regular garbage or something, this is the way I was always taught and taught my scouts to do. You take an old piece of cardboard, anything will do, you know, something like this or whatever, and what you do is you take your razor blade, and what you basically do is we take a piece of tape, put it over the razor blade just to hold it in place like that. And then what we do is we take, fold it this way, like this. Now you could do this with multiple razor blades, and then you fold it this way, and then roll it up, and like this, just roll it up, and then put a piece of tape over the end, and that's how you throw it out, just like this. Now, there's then just take a piece of tape like this and put it over here like this. Now, this is how we throw it in the regular trash like this, and you don't have to worry about that cutting somebody or ripping through a bag or an animal getting a hold of it or something. But that's always the way we did it, and always wrapped up trash like that. And it's a good thing to pass on to young shop workers or people, the youngsters that are getting into the shop. Never throw away a razor blade like this in the trash. Never.
Okay, next up, we had some tool casualties from the last hatchet we did. Let's address those.
Okay, last video when we were doing this hatchet, I had to dig out the wedges out, and because I was using some excessive force, but it worked, but eventually it did break. I broke the tip off this. Now, this was one that was broken before, and I ground it down, and I'm going to show you something. Just like the short-handed ball peen, this is probably my most used screwdriver, believe it or not. And I grind it down into such a way that I put a convex tip on here. I'll show you that, how we're going to grind that out. And it comes in so handy. I use it for everything, opening paint cans. I make a tip pretty thin. That's why I snapped it, but it just works off so good. Now, we're also going to fix this one too, because I had to bang this. And this is kind of a malleable chisel. It's not a hard or... I don't even know what it was, where it came from, but this thing comes in handy a lot of times too. I don't want to damage a good tool, so I use that. And I just wanted to show the screwdriver. This, I think, was one of the Stanley 100 series. This here, let's see what it says here. I can see it now. I didn't see that before. It says Made in USA, right? Made in USA, 1007. I didn't even know there was a name on here before. Stanley, you're 100 plus, right? 100. These screwdrivers are probably amongst the best screwdrivers they make. Now, I've always found a square shank screwdriver to be much stronger than the round shank screwdriver. So they still make these. I don't know if they're made in USA, but you could still get new old stock of these in made in USA. Stanley 100 plus. It's got, look at how this joined into the handle, and it's just a fantastically strong screwdriver. I've never seen one of these fail before, and there's, like I said, the square shank is so much stronger than the round shank. And if you need a good heavy-duty pair, get these Stanley 100 Plus. But let's get working on regrinding and fixing these tools we screwed. Now we're over at the vintage Sears Craftsman bench grinder. And, you know, usually these bench grinders come with two wheels. One is a coarse wheel, usually on the right, and a fine wheel on the left. They can be switched or whatever, but that's the way they usually come. And some of the old grinders used to have a little cup there that you would fill with water. I always keep a little cup extra here. And this is important because when you're dealing with a grinding stone, it builds up a tremendous amount of heat really quickly, much faster than a belt sander does. But it also removes a lot of material from hardened areas without wearing out a belt. So we're going to address this here. We want to put a convex tip on here, and I'll be dunking it between here and the water, you know, as soon as it gets a little bit warm, because you don't want to change the temper on here. So and let me show you what it's going to look like after we're done. Okay, here we have that convex on both sides. You can see now you're never going to get it perfect on the stone here because it's a curved stone. You're working from the side. Sometimes you're holding it like this to try. It's a little awkward to work on. But once you get the general shape, we're going to take it over to the belt sander and clean it up. Okay, we finished up here. We put another, readdressed this tip. Again, this is a disposable. I don't know where it came from, but it saved me a bunch of times. But this is something just like that small ball peen I wish all of you would make. It's a 3/16 or 4.78 millimeter square shaft screwdriver. And you can see here, this was a chrome vanadium Craftsman. And like I said, ever since I, you know, broke it years ago, and I put this kind of convex tip. You see how it's convex like that? And, you know, I have it, this thing has come in, just the shape of this tip for scraping, for small screws, and it works so good. If you can make one of these, if you have a screwdriver that has a screwed up tip, and it's a square drive, please make one of these. I promise you, like the small ball peen, this will become your favorite tool in the shop. It really works well. Okay, next up, I apologize for the Band-Aid on my thumb. What happened was last week I ran my thumb into the wire brush and I just scraped off a little skin. It's not, you know, bad, but it's just it doesn't look too good. So the Band-Aid doesn't look good either, but, you know, I'm always, you know, I'm all thumbs in the shop, literally. Okay, let's see what we got next up. You remember last week I did a talk about JB Weld on this side and Bondo. And I had a couple, this piece of wood with a couple holes drilled in it, and I filled Bondo in on one side. These holes, they weren't through holes. These were just small holes, about 1/4 inch. I put some JB Weld, and then I threaded them with a number 10 screw by 32 threads per inch, 1032. And, you know, I was thinking about this. I was like, I wonder how strong these are as far as, you know, pull out, you know. So I said, why don't we rig something up and test it out to see how much weight it'll hold. Let me cut up some. Drill a couple holes in a piece of scrap metal, but I was putting it into my my drill press vise here and my machinist vise, and I was looking at the date, October 15th, 1942. The United States has been in war. We went to World War II in December 7th, 1941. So for about 10 months, we've been at war when this vise was made. I wonder what was going on. You ever think about that when you look at the date? Like, you know, what were these people going through and thinking about? And I wonder if people will think that about 2020 when they see that years from now. Okay, here's the setup. Drilled a couple holes in this piece of scrap. You can see how it lines up perfectly with the 10/32 holes we have here. So then we're going to put these 10/32 screws in here. Screw this down. Pass an eye bolt through here. The eye bolt will be floating free from the wood. And then we're going to hook it up to a bucket. How much weight do you think this will hold on just this little bit of JB Weld? Not even going all the way through, a little bit of JB Weld in there. How much weight do you think this will hold in pounds? Okay, think about that for a second. I'll show you the setup. You could see we have that that little plate screwed onto the wood. We have some string holding a bucket empty, and it's going up to my crane scale here, which will turn on, and then we'll hit. See, right now the setup we hit test, so it's 0. Now, how many pounds do you think that this will hold? Okay, I'm going to start adding water. What is your guess on these two 1032 screws just held into JB Weld? Take a guess. Okay, we're going to begin pouring, so you'll see when it breaks, and I won't be able to. So here we go. We're pouring in the water. Okay, I spent the next 20 minutes first filling up the bucket of water, then putting a board over the bucket, then putting all kinds of weight on top of the board, and I just was getting frustrated. I mean, there was only so much weight I had down the basement that I could add to that to the contraption we had. So eventually I said, I'm going to have to look at it a different way, because the most I could get up here was, like, as you could see, 71 pounds or so. So I went a whole different route. Okay, after all the fails of trying to stack weight on, I just put a little board there, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to try and stand on it. So here's the setup. I'm going to try standing on it. I can't put too much weight. It's only hooked up to a board. It's meant for weighing small stuff, so I don't want to put too much weight. How much do you think it'll take? Okay, we're going to try standing on it. Here we go. Foot's locked in the stirrup. And I'm going to hold on here just to make sure I don't kill myself. Okay, that's all I could put on it. Now you can see the setup. It's identical the way we started. This is amazing to me. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty shocked at the results of that so far. I wish I had more weight or a way to get on. I put my entire weight of 185 pounds. Okay, I put most of my weight at 185. Okay, I put a little bit of my weight, 185 pounds, and that held. I'm shocked. I wish I had a way to get, wonder what it would be. Did anybody think it was going to be that much? The other day I was going on the poor man's flea market. For those of you new to the channel, that means when you walk around during garbage night and you check out what people are throwing out. But check this out. Across the street from me, somebody was throwing out a treadmill, and right there, they took out the motor, and the motor was sitting right there. And, you know, that's usually something you say, I'd like to get a treadmill motor, do a couple things, but nobody wants to drag and take it out of the unit. This one was out, just sitting right there, ready to take, and I didn't take it. It was heavy, too. I didn't take it. It was only a block away. I could have brought it home, but I'm getting real good like that. I'm not grabbing a lot of junk. And last up, a couple people have mentioned, they heard me mention the Scoutcrafter Junior Toolbox, and I wanted to tell you what that's all about. Okay, the reason you've been hearing me say that is years ago they used to have a lot of these tool sets, like this handy Andy tool set that would come with these inexpensive tools. There's only a couple in here, but they would have these barely usable tools that were made for kids to get their hands on to use tools, and they came in a nice box. Well, I wanted to do the same thing with some of the tools that I'm restoring and things like that, and make up a tool set, in a wooden box, and I'm designing it now, and I want to have all restored old tools that are totally usable. And you remember the old kits they used to make? They were pretty interesting. They had so many different types. And I think it would be a nice idea, especially with a way to store some of the tools that I'm doing and get them all together in one kit. Now, my only issue is trying to figure out what tools to put in the kit, usable tools, like a wood plane. I don't know. How many kids are really going to use a wood plane, or how many times in your life do you use a wood plane? So there's certain tools I would leave out that they used to put in these old kits. Okay, so in closing, I hope you have a great weekend. It was a long weekend. Take advantage of it. Rest up, recharge your batteries. Take care now. Bye-bye.